My sister drained every bit of my allowance for 5 straight years. At dinner one night, I finally handed my grandfather the evidence. What happened after that shattered my family in ways we'll never undo. A few days later at lunch, I slid a stack of call logs, bank statements, and old emails across the table to a lawyer named Callum. She didn't flinch. "This is both simple and not simple," she told me. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just betrayal disguised as love. It was fraud. My name is Callum, I'm 30 and the oldest sibling. I keep 3 jobs to stay afloat. Loading trucks at a warehouse in the mornings, repairing office chairs and thermostats for a property manager during the day, and delivering food late into the night because rent laughs at single incomes. I live in a one-room studio above a nail salon next to a bus stop that never sleeps. My phone is basically a living budget, 4 tabs, gas, rent, food, and surprise. Somehow, surprise always wins. Meanwhile, my younger sister, Serafina, 27, is the golden child. She's carefully crafting her brand, online, unboxing videos, pastel jackets, motivational captions. If she misses a bill, it's divine timing. If I miss one, it's because I'm too stubborn to ask for help. Our grandfather, Arthur King, yes, like the legend, is the wealthy one. He started with a single hardware shop and grew it into a tidy empire of rental units and storage lots. He wears boots older than me, but a watch that could buy a car. Holidays at his place were always a strange mix of luxury and thrift. Crystal goblets with paper plates. That Friday, he hosted a family dinner, roast chicken, green beans dripping in butter, cousins and their kids running around. I came straight from the warehouse, still scrubbing grease out from under my nails. Granddad hugged me at the door and loud enough for everyone to hear said, "Hope you're enjoying your $7,000 allowance." My brain short-circuited. "My what? Your stipend," he repeated casually like talking about the weather. "Started it for you and Serafina back in 2019, $7 grand a month each just to give you a good runway." I stood there frozen, casserole dish in hand, the kind of meal I could barely afford to bring. My laugh came out broken. "Granddad," I said, "I'm working 3 jobs right now. I've never even seen that money." A fork clattered onto a plate. The air went sharp. Mom shot me a warning look. "Don't start. Your grandfather is trying to have a nice evening." Serafina leaned into him, voice soft like a nurse at a bedside. "He just doesn't like taking help, you know, Callum." I snapped back, maybe too fast. "I love help. I've just never received any." Granddad's brows knit together. "You mean you never got it?" I pulled out my phone, opened my banking history, nothing but small deposits. Then I dug through an old inbox, found the email I'd broken into weeks earlier. Foundation disbursements. I scrolled and handed him my screen. Every monthly payment, my name listed, but always landing in the same masked account. 4 digits I recognized, Serafina's account. Granddad read slowly, his expression tightening like a vice. "Is this a joke?" "No," I said flatly. "I've been eating off-brand cereal to afford new tires. If this is a prank, it's a very committed one." He dropped the phone like it burned. The room froze. Mom reached for it, but I pulled it back. Serafina smoothed her hair, voice syrupy. "I thought we weren't going to talk about money tonight. And I thought we weren't rerouting," I answered, my voice suddenly steady. Granddad pushed his chair back, standing with effort. "Who changed the routing?" "Sit down, Arthur," Mom urged. "We're not doing this." "We are doing this," he said. "Serafina," the word landed heavy. My sister lifted her hands like she was calming a room. "Let's all take a breath." The coordinator said it was easier for the household if everything went to one place. "What household?" I asked. She exhaled. "Family." She said it like it was a receipt. Granddad turned to me. "When did you find out?" 30 seconds ago, I said, then corrected myself. "No, I suspected a month ago. I requested the records. They came today." The silence was suffocating. My little cousin whispered, "What's allowance?" Her dad hushed her. Someone turned on the TV as if background noise could erase the fracture. But dinner was done. No one could chew through the tension. The green beans on my plate tasted like paper. I forced 2 down just to keep my hands busy. At 9:14 p.m., my phone buzzed. The caller ID showed a number from my bank's area code. I nearly ignored it. The night already carried enough chaos, but I answered. "Mr. King," a calm voice said. "This is Octavia with Franklin Trust. We're calling to confirm an urgent outgoing wire request and beneficiary change on your family account. Are you authorized to approve this?" My stomach dropped. "What's the name on the request?" "Serafina's Social LLC," she replied. I looked across the table. My sister was pretending to carve a pie that didn't even need cutting. Absolutely not, I said. Freeze everything tied to my social security number. Hold it all pending fraud review. Silence pressed against the table as I set my phone down. My pulse thundered. This wasn't just allowance money. This was larger. What no one else knew yet, not even Serafina, was that my portion of the trust came with a clause. On my 30th birthday, just a few days earlier, the principal amount became available as a one-time withdrawal if I made a written request. I hadn't touched it, but someone had tried. $250,000, that was the wire request. Granddad called a family meeting right there in his library, as though this were a sitcom cliffhanger instead of a slow-motion disaster. Leather chairs, shelves of books, and a fireplace that had never been loved. Mom folded her arms like a defense attorney. Serafina scrolled on her phone, making sure every notification landed loudly. I couldn't sit, my body buzzed too much, so I stood as Granddad flipped through the printouts I had brought. This says, he muttered, adjusting his glasses, that every monthly stipend meant for Callum has been deposited into an account ending in 4187 since March 2019. Administrative simplification, Mom said smoothly, as though testifying before a committee. One household account, everyone shared. Not me, I snapped. You were included, Serafina cut in quickly. You just didn't notice. I kept records, rent, equipment, conferences. It's not like I blew it on shoes. I almost laughed. I'd seen the designer sneakers she flaunted online. One pair cost more than my car repairs. Granddad turned to me. Why didn't you tell me sooner? For 1,000 little reasons. Because I didn't want to seem greedy. Because Mom always made me feel like asking questions was a crime. Because I was too busy working, too busy surviving. I didn't know, I said simply. Not really. Not until I had proof. He gave a slow, deliberate nod, the kind judges give when they already know the verdict. Then he dialed Octavia from the bank on speaker. Cancel any beneficiary change requests, he ordered. Reverse any unauthorized wires, effective immediately. Understood, sir, Octavia said. We'll also need confirmation from the grantor and removal of any coordinators on file. Mom leaned forward, voice sharp. Arthur, don't be dramatic. This is family. Granddad didn't flinch. This is money. And money makes families worse. Serafina's mask cracked. You're going to humiliate me over a misunderstanding. You've undermined your brother for 5 years, he said without raising his voice. Mom made one last push. Callum never wanted help. He's stubborn. I met her eyes, then Granddad's, then Serafina's. My voice came steady this time. I'm not asking for help. I'm drawing a boundary. Serafina rolled her eyes. Oh my God, therapy talk. Grown-up words. Then here are simpler ones, I said. Stop using my name, stop touching my money, no more routing games, no more household unless I live in it. Granddad nodded slowly like a metronome. Serafina, you'll repay every diverted dollar. You'll provide a written accounting of what you spent. We'll decide if any of it counts as family expenses. Spoiler, it doesn't. He turned to Mom. You're removed as coordinator. Immediately, her face drained. You can't mean that. I do, he said. You forgot what this money was for. Mom whispered, and what was it for? For a runway, he said, voice heavy. Not for spectacle. Serafina's tone sharpened. This is revenge, not fairness. I shook my head. The words felt like a lock clicking shut. This isn't revenge, this is closure. My hands finally stopped trembling. The next morning, my phone buzzed again, not the bank this time, but Granddad's attorney, Celine Anders. Her voice carried that crisp, no-nonsense tone I'd only ever heard in court dramas. Callum, she said, I'll need you to forward every document, email, and screenshot you've got. We're tightening this up legally. By afternoon, she was seated at Granddad's mahogany desk with her laptop open, hair pulled into a knot so tight it looked like steel wire. Serafina lounged on the arm of a chair, pretending indifference but biting her nails until they nearly bled. Celine clicked through digital files like a surgeon wielding scalpels. Wire attempts, unauthorized beneficiary change. Diversion of monthly disbursements, all traceable, she announced. I'll prepare affidavits for reversal. A fit of what? Serafina muttered. Documents, Celine replied without looking at her. Ones you'll be signing. Mom crossed her arms. This is unnecessary. We could handle this as a family. Celine finally looked up, eyes sharp as cut glass. With respect, ma'am, you already did, for 5 years, poorly. That silenced the room. Granddad handed me a folder. Inside were copies of account statements with my name missing entirely from transactions that should have been mine. The proof wasn't abstract anymore. It was printed in black and white. Celine slid another paper across the desk. Here's the petition for restitution. This protects Callum's claim and creates a repayment schedule. If she refuses, we escalate. Serafina scoffed. Escalate? What's that supposed to mean? Civil court, Selene said simply. Her words landed like a hammer. Mom started pacing. You'd sue your own sister, your own daughter. I didn't answer right away. The question wasn't really for me. Instead, I met Granddad's eyes. I don't want this to be about punishment, I said carefully. I just want what's mine restored, nothing more, nothing less. Selene typed something rapidly, then looked up again. You're entitled to both principal and interest on diverted funds, but whether you want to pursue that is your choice. The room went still. For the first time in years, I had the choice. Serafina snapped. This is ridiculous. You can't just erase 5 years like they didn't happen. I earned that money, I made it work. Do you even know what I sacrificed? Her voice cracked. For a moment, she sounded less like a schemer and more like a child caught red-handed. But I stayed quiet. I didn't need to argue anymore. The paperwork did that for me. Selene shut her laptop with a decisive click. We'll reconvene when Serafina is ready to respond formally. Until then, no further transfers. Everything is frozen. Serafina shot me a look, sharp, wounded, desperate. This isn't over, Callum, she hissed. I believed her. But for the first time, I wasn't afraid of her anymore. 2 days later, my inbox pinged with a new email. The sender, Serafina, the subject line, explanation document. Attached was a PDF that stretched nearly 20 pages, half confessional, half manifesto. She started with dramatic flair. I only did what I thought was best for the family. If I hadn't stepped in, everything would have collapsed. Callum doesn't understand the burden I carried. From there, it spiraled into a web of rationalizations. She claimed my medical bills as a kid had crippled the family accounts, so siphoning funds later was balancing the scales. She argued that because she was the responsible one, she deserved a larger share. She even tried to twist the monthly stipends, saying they had been wasted on me, while screenshots clearly showed her transferring them into her own investment accounts. Selene and I sat side by side at Granddad's desk, scrolling through the PDF. Every other paragraph was either blame-shifting or emotional blackmail. Selene tapped her screen. This isn't a justification, it's an admission. She's put everything in writing. Did she really think this would help her case? I asked. Selene smirked faintly. Sometimes people mistake word count for persuasion. She highlighted line after line, attaching notes. Contradicts bank record. Unsupported claim. Irrelevant to restitution. By the time we reached page 15, Serafina's arguments had unraveled into rants about how nobody ever appreciated her, how she was always the one cleaning up my messes, how I'd never have survived adulthood without her guidance. Granddad, who had been silent until then, finally spoke. She took my trust and twisted it into entitlement. That's not guidance, that's theft. His words carried no anger, just sorrow. The last page of Serafina's PDF ended with a line that stuck in my head. If you take this away from me, you'll regret it. I'm the only one who can keep this family together. Selene leaned back, arms folded. She doesn't even realize she's burned the very bridge she's standing on. I exhaled slowly. For years, Serafina's voice had been the loudest in every room. Now on paper, her words condemned her. The excuses were finished. All that was left was consequence. The hearing was brief. Selene presented the documents. Bank statements, wire attempts, Serafina's own PDF. The evidence was so overwhelming that the board didn't even need to deliberate long. The restitution order is approved, the clerk announced. Funds will be restored to Callum and monthly disbursements will proceed as originally intended, effective immediately. The words echoed like a gavel in my chest. Serafina, seated across the table, went pale, then red, then both at once. You can't do this, she shouted, voice cracking. Everything I built, everything I sacrificed, it was for this family. Nobody responded. Even Mom stared at the floor, her lips pressed tight. Serafina's hands shook as she grabbed the papers in front of her, crumpling them into a ball. This is theft. You're stealing from me? Granddad leaned forward, voice calm but firm. No, Serafina. We're taking back what was stolen. That broke her. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she slammed her chair back, storming out of the room with the crumpled order still in her fist. The door rattled behind her. Silence settled. Heavy but not hopeless. Selene packed her laptop, turning to me. You did the hard part, you stood your ground. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. The weight of years, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the theft pressed against me. And then, just as suddenly, it lifted. Later that night, I sat on the porch with Granddad. The summer air was warm, crickets humming in the background. He handed me a glass of iced tea. You know, he said quietly, I always believed you'd rise above all this. I just didn't expect you'd have to fight your own blood to do it. I nodded, staring at the horizon. Neither did I. But maybe now we can heal. He put a hand on my shoulder. Healing starts with truth, and today you claimed yours. For the first time in years, I felt steady, not like the black sheep, not like the scapegoat. Just myself, finally seen, finally heard, finally free. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a comment, hit subscribe, follow for more, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next one.